You're listening to Plants and Politics with Gina Bonanno Lemos. If you're ready to hear the truth about both sides of the aisle, what's really going on in America, and how big money interests prevent change to keep you sick, broke, and desperate, then play on. Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. This is Gina. So I'm doing something new. I'm going to be doing a segment each Friday called Follow Up Friday, where I follow up on some stories that you guys showed interest in, just let you know where it's at now. The first update I want to provide for you is one on Crystal Caldwell. So for those of you who don't know, Crystal Caldwell was a 59-year-old hotel employee. She was assaulted by two hotel guests, and it was pretty obvious from the things they were shouting at her that it was based on race in large part. So here's where it's at now, and I recommend that you go back and watch the video because hearing about it and watching it are two completely different issues. It's unnerving. It was really shocking to watch how viciously they beat this woman. So the two people who assaulted her, allegedly, I mean, the whole thing's on film. It's all on camera. So we have to say allegedly, but yeah. So Phillip, Sarner, and Emily Orbay were the two seen in the video assaulting her. They have been charged in the assault of Quality Inn hotel clerk Crystal Caldwell. 39-year-old Phillip Sarner is being charged with second and third degree assault and intimidation based on bigotry and bias. And 28-year-old Emily Orbay is being charged with the same intimidation charge as well as a charge of third degree assault. Sarner was the primary attacker. He's the one that literally kicked her in the head when she was down on the ground, but they both took part to some degree. The couple apparently attacked Miss Caldwell over the lack of hot water in their hotel room on June 26th, and they attacked her multiple times. So the first attack took place at the front desk, where Sarner slapped her in the face and called her a monkey. And there was also the second attack, which is what I referenced earlier, that was just a vicious beating caught on hotel security cameras. And both Sarner and Orbay took part in that attack while yelling racial slurs at her. So Ms. Caldwell reports that while Sarner was kicking her in the head, for example, Orbay told him, because she at one point looked like she was almost, waving him off or pulling him back a little bit. And Orbay reportedly said to him, quote, "The monkeys had enough." So again, if you haven't seen the video, go back and review it. It's on Plants and Politics on my YouTube channel. It is absolutely disturbing. And what's come to light since I posted that video is that Sarner and Orbay were still at the hotel when police arrived. So, I, like so many other people, thought that they took off. But apparently the police had been called even before the second attack took place. So one of the hotel employees called the police after Sarner slapped Miss Caldwell in the face at the front desk. And so they were already on the way when the second attack took place. And in fact, Sarner and Orbay were transported to the hospital in an ambulance that the police had called to the scene. So police are facing justified outrage for not charging Sarner and Orbay on the spot, especially since there were multiple witnesses to both of the assaults on Ms. Caldwell, because there were multiple hotel employees standing there when this occurred. And they tried to intervene, like the one who called the police. They had more than enough probable cause to arrest these two, even without reviewing the video surveillance footage, because apparently they didn't say why in the reports, but for some reason it was difficult for them to retrieve that surveillance footage immediately. But they had multiple witnesses. So it's infuriating how poorly this was handled and how disparate the treatment is when suspects are white versus black. I mean, if the assailants had been a black couple and the victim was a white woman, would these people have been allowed to leave the hotel and travel to the hospital for their pretend injuries and without being cuffed first? Because, Sarner and Orbay tried to pretend that they were the victims and that they were attacked. So I get that the police were getting different stories, but you have hotel employees who witnessed it. So a little bit of good news has come out. It was announced last week that the police chief and the police commissioner's office have requested an external review of the investigation, and they've hired an outside third party to handle the review, which is really good because this is why so few people get justice, when the police handle things inappropriately in this country, because the police literally are the ones who review the police. They're the ones who oversee the investigation. Now, police claim that they couldn't arrest these violent, racist assholes because they weren't allowed into the hospital, and the hospital by law, which is true, can't tell them when patients are released. But okay, let's compare that with how the George Floyd incident was handled. If you go back, you watch the George Floyd video, you'll see that an armed officer jumps out of the ambulance when they arrive to pick up Mr. Floyd's lifeless body. And then the officer gets back in the ambulance and rides along with him while he's unconscious to the hospital where he's pronounced dead. So this is actually normal. So why does this happen? Well, if a suspect, because I actually looked this up at the time, if a suspect is under arrest, and especially if they're considered to be dangerous or violent, an officer is required to ride with the suspect in the ambulance. So they literally can't let them out of the purview and vision of a police officer at any point in time. If they've been arrested, which these two people should have been, then the officer goes with them. So that is clearly what should have happened in this instance when you had multiple witnesses and you had a woman with a battered face and who ended up with a concussion as a result. So why was this not done? These people were clearly out of control and they attacked a woman. And as I said, multiple witnesses corroborated what occurred. You have a woman who's clearly been beat to hell. That's white privilege, guys. If you don't know what white privilege is, that's what white privilege is. You're given the benefit of the doubt. You're able to beat up a woman, two people beat up on one woman who's like 20 years older than them, or more than 20 years older than them, in the case of the female assailant, and yet you get the benefit of the doubt. You don't get arrested on the spot. Your neck isn't kneeled on. You're not choked out and suffocated to death. Just sickening. But I'm glad that they're doing an external review. If and when I hear any more, I will let you guys know. The next update I have is about the deceased attorney Roy Den Hollander and how he relates to Judge Esther Salas. If you remember, Judge Salas was the judge involved in this horrific crime where someone came to her door, shot and killed her only son, her 20-year-old child, and critically wounded her husband. So original reports mentioned that someone came to the door that was posing and dressed as a FedEx driver, and the original reports mentioned that this Roy Den Hollander was found dead the following day and that he had a package with him with the judge's name on it. There's still no news. Nobody still has released any information about what was in the package. Was it a decoy to go along with this FedEx ruse? I mean, they haven't really said anything. No pictures have been released, so it's really unclear if they found a FedEx uniform in his home or on him, or we don't know yet. But the suspect, meaning Mr. Denhollander, did express a lot of animosity towards Judge Salas in writings that he made online. He also apparently did at one point post online about posing as a FedEx driver to speak with a young girl. They didn't say why he wanted to speak with a young girl, but obviously this was something that he had in his mind to do, or at least that's what they're purporting that he posted. He was also clearly a misogynist. He expressed a lot of hatred towards women. I mean, this is how he made his money, by going after feminists and different programs geared towards women. So there was an attorney that a news outlet spoke with that represented his ex-wife. Apparently, he was divorced from this woman that came over from Russia many years ago, and he pretty much went psycho on her. So his ex-wife's attorney had this to say, quote, "He really had a terrible hatred for all women, particularly women in power like judges. And he was hell-bent on trying to exact revenge on anybody that he thought crossed him. He would threaten and say disparaging things about the judges in legal papers and in letters to the court. He didn't shy away from being unprofessional and speaking his mind in that matter." The attorney then went on to say he found Denhollander to be, quote, "very dangerous and creepy," and, quote, "unfit to practice law." He also said, quote, "Never in my wildest imagination would I believe that anybody that I would encounter in real life would be capable of doing something like that. But in 25 years of practice, if I had to choose one person that I came across that might be capable of such heinous acts, it would be him. He was basically a deranged lunatic hiding in plain sight, cloaked by his suit, tie, and law degree." Pretty damning words, right? I mean, this is somebody who dealt with him in a professional manner, and that's who he was on a professional level. I mean, I understand it was his Denhollander's divorce and a personal matter in that way, but he's saying this is how he treated judges. I mean, the guy clearly had some issues. There was also a statement made by Harry Crouch, who's the president of the National Coalition for Men, and he described Denhollander as, quote, "a nut job." Denhollander apparently was once a member of the National Coalition for Men, but he was removed from the group after he threatened Harry Crouch. So, people are asking why. I mean, what was his motive? And that's really unclear to me still in the case of Judge Salas. I mean, they have said that Denhollander was apparently dying. He had terminal melanoma, and now he's even a suspect in the murder of another men's rights attorney in San Bernardino, California, a man named Mark Angelucci, or Angelucci. Evidently, witnesses say that Angelucci was also murdered by someone posing as a FedEx delivery person, and he was apparently in California when Angelucci was murdered. So it's been reported that Angelucci was leading a case that was identical to Denhollander's. He was also suing the military for not including women in the draft. So people have posited that maybe Denhollander viewed Angelucci as competition. I don't know. Something just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, first of all, I've heard it reported that he was apparently found dead on the passenger side of his vehicle. That doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to go drive somewhere and shoot yourself, why do you get out and do it on the passenger side? I don't understand. And also, Judge Salas had ruled in his favor. So she was allowing his case to move forward. So why was he so triggered? What was it with her? Because I haven't seen a single news report that talks about any other case that she currently had before her that he was involved in. So why did he freak out? I mean, if you kill the guy who's your competition and who has the same case as you, wouldn't that leave the road open for you then to move forward with your case? And Judge Salas again ruled that the case could go forward and basically ruled in his favor. So yeah, I don't know. Something is not right. Something just it just, to me, and again, I have no evidence of this whatsoever, but it's just not sitting right. And it just feels like it's being tied up with a nice, neat bow so that everybody goes, oh, okay, we got him. We got this, we figured out who the murderer is, and he's dead now. He can't harm anybody else. So let's just all move on. Anyway, guys, I will keep you posted. If I hear anything new, I will let you know. And I, again, will keep doing these follow-up Friday segments so that you guys hear as things arise and transpire. And I will talk to you soon. As always, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and take care of yourself. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.